This is Pat Cleet with TII Technical Education Systems, here to introduce you to TII's MB400 hydraulic trainer. One of the first things you're going to notice when dealing with the TII technical fundamental trainers is how sturdy they are. And as soon as you pull them out of the box, you'll start to realize really quick that you're dealing with a quality product. So as they come out of the box, they're almost ready to use. They may be, it may take 15 minutes for you to get this set up and for the very first time, and a student already being trained on this, which is really an impressive feat when it comes to most trainers take days to learn them in and out. And you as an educator, it makes it a little easier that you can just open this thing up and it's ready to go for the students, because you're going to have the manual here explaining everything. You'll have your instructor's manual with all the answers and some basic things on setup. And the trainer is already packed up and ready to go. And so all we really need to do is get 120 volts to this, and then the students are ready to learn after just putting some components right in their basic place. So here we have the fundamental trainers for hydraulics. And so when you open this up right away, you're going to see that there is some cushioning here. Now, once you open this up for the first time, you're going to have some very basic things to do that are not going to take long at all. All right? You have some very basic components that will need to be placed in the upper part of the case, and then they will stay there from then on. So once you've unpacked this once, you're ready to go. You have some quick disconnect hoses that are all clear here, so the students will actually be able to see the hydraulic oil flowing through them. These can actually stay in this bag, so they made this one resealable. To get this trainer set up and ready to go, the cylinder, go ahead, it clips right into here. And you can feel this. When you put this on there, you know that this is going to be here forever. These clips will last quite a long time. I really, really like about this trainer in particular is how easy it's going to be for you as the instructor to know right away if something is missing. And so this takes a 10-second visual check, and we're ready to go. Now, the only thing that's needed for this trainer, simply plug in the 120 volt outlet. And so now all the students need, once this is all set up, grab the manual and start reading. Again, less than 15 minutes you can receive this in the mail, and students will be ready to go. So let me show you how easy it is to set an experiment up. Now this takes information from Unit 1, from 7, from 10, and kind of combines them all. So I'm just going to show you the basic setup of this, and to make sure that everybody's comfortable with how easy the TII technology fundamentals trainers make it to help students learn. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off and hold on to the wing nuts here. The first step to getting an experiment going is to go ahead and get the wing nut attached before we put the directional control valve on. And tighten this down, get it there so there's a little bit of space. Okay. We're now ready to go. All right, and I can position this anywhere I want in the hydraulic trainer. So from there, we're going to take the directional control valve, line it up with one of the available holes, take the screw, run it through there, tighten this down, and now we have a directional control valve. And the great thing about this is, let's say this position doesn't work for some reason. It's too close or too far away. All we have to do, loosen up the wing nut, bring it over to the next slide, get it lined up. We're ready to rock and roll. Next, we're going to do the same thing here with a transparent hydraulic cylinder. All right. We are now ready to mount the cylinder here. Now we want to begin to install basic circuit here. As the manual explains, this right here is your power supply. This comes into the center, your pressure port. Now with the hydraulics, we always got to run everything back to tank. And again, this is also demonstrated in the manual, so the students won't be caught off guard and asked to install things right away without first understanding what they're doing. Now, here's a situation. Hooking this in is becoming difficult because we're going to start getting too many bends. Here's the genius in the system. All I have to do is loosen this up, rotate it around, and it's ready to go. And now, believe it or not, we have a basic hydraulic circuit. So I have my hydraulic tank, my hydraulic pump. So this creates my power unit with my power supply and an on-off switch right here. We have a pressure gauge here if we wanted to hook it up. This is just installed there. But there's another pressure gauge in here so we can actually sense how much pressure we have. And our manifold, which gives us 3 different hookups, so we can actually hook up 3 different directional control valves and help them to run. We're going out to a cylinder actuator, which we will actually be able to see move, and everything is going back to tanks. So this is a complete hydraulic system, something that students will see out in the field, built at their desktop. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Pressure on. We would check our pressure gauge to make sure it's at the recommended 15 psi, and then we'll be ready to activate the directional control valve while the students can see which way flow is going in the system. Okay? As you can see here, the cylinder begins to slowly rise, teaching students the basic principles of how positive displacement hydraulic systems work, which is a really great feature. Okay? So when we're ready to have it retract, go ahead and shift this down. The hydraulic cylinder begins to retract because of the way the directional control valve is operating. The students can see the oil go back to the tank, and when it stops, letting them know that flow from the cylinder has stopped, and pressure will build up again in the pressure relief valve. A couple of things here that are very important. The students, especially at the beginning experiments, they're actually doing this stuff first. Okay? Before they learn all the physics like they do in a college setting, they're actually learning the system at the very beginning of how it operates, and then later they'll come back with the physics, which is really a great way to instruct, because it engages their brain in a way where they're building things, they're using their hands. Most trainers out there, well, I have the stuff already set. Here, especially for some of our younger students or the ones who grew up with a tool in their hands, they're here actually using their hands. Even simple as tightening up a wing nut. These are the skills that we know our students need. And so as they continue, they'll be using screwdrivers and wing nuts and mounting things, and they'll be learning basic skills, not only the hydraulic, how to install these, and the different components, how they all interact together, and then later the physics. They're also learning how to use their hands in a very beginner style. Here's another feature that I really like about these technology fundamental trainers, is that once the experiment is over, now it's time to put everything away, and we need to make sure that everything gets back into its proper place. So the first thing we're going to do is come through and begin to disconnect the hoses and put them back in the bag. You also want to encourage the students to inspect the hoses as they're putting them on and off to make sure that they are still in proper working order. So we just want to give everything a quick basic check and just rub it down to make sure that no hydraulic oil is going to be sitting there. Now what we'll do is we'll unmount the directional control valve, and then here's one of my favorite features. This thing is ready to go right back into place. All right, nothing is more frustrating than when one group of students comes in, loses a tool, and then the next section is pretty stuck. There's nothing they can really do about it. So again, being able to do just a quick visual inspection before when a student is done, makes it for a real nice feature in the hydraulic trainer. I'll remove the transparent cylinder, align this up. Now I'm going to just loosen up the brackets. We can actually put these in the bag. Now that everything's ready, I can do a quick visual inspection of the system to make sure that everything is where it should be. Some people will choose to get rid of these and not use them anymore. Okay? That's totally up to you and whatever your school system is. If you're going to be carrying these around, I do recommend keeping these. Set this in here. The system is shut and ready to go. Really, this is the full package. Not only does it teach what are all the components, how they interact together to complete a big system, and they teach you the physics of what is happening in the circuit. This has been Pat Cleet for TII Technical Education Systems, introducing you to their MB400 hydraulic trainer. For more information on this trainer and trainers like this, please visit us at TII-tech.com. Hope to see you soon.